reporting. Joining me now live, a friend of the briefing, Congressman Rich McCormick. He's a member, of course, of the House Foreign Affairs Committee from the great state of Georgia. First of all, welcome back, sir.
Thanks. Good to be with you today.
Always good to have you. Now, the left has been trying for days to focus on the fact that the shooter's father was MAGA, but we revealed today, the prosecutor did, we learned that the assassin's mom, as you just heard, confirmed that actually over the last year, he tilted to the left and became, in the mom's words, more pro-gay, more trans rights-oriented, and began to date his roommate, a biological male transitioning to a woman. And, Congressman, the left and the media, they don't want to talk about that, do they?
No, they really don't, because what's become a really bizarre movement. I'm an ER doc by trade, and I used to watch pediatricians across the nation coalesce behind the fact that this was a psychosomatic disorder, that kids should never be entertained in this way, and that they needed to actually be counseled as to why they had dysphoria. They believed they were something they were not, whether you be a furry or think you're the opposite sex. That was something to be treated. As a matter of fact, they went so far as to say parents who actually embrace this, that they should be a different sex, should be considered for abuse. I mean, that it wasn't a good thing for the child. It wasn't good for their psyche. As a matter of fact, since then, the studies have shown that people who are even accepted for being trans still have a 40% suicide attempt rate. It's not normal. It's not good. I'm not saying I hate anybody like that. I actually feel bad for them, because we're not even addressing the issue at hand. But we've normalized it, and from that has come a lot of violence. A lot of trans people disproportionately have gone after people who basically they hate anybody who disagrees with them. That's become the norm. It's a really dangerous precedent.
Yes, and it goes and extends, to your point, far beyond this 22-year-old. Megyn Kelly posted on X a short time ago. In her words, she feels empty because Charlie will never walk his daughter down the aisle or play catch with his son because, quote, in her words, some gamer, left-wing, trans, furry-loving loser decided Charlie was too hateful. The left told him so, and he believed it. And I thought, isn't that profound? Because to your last point, it's not just the 22, it's these people on the left, politicians and other leaders say, it's okay to have these thoughts. And then he says, I'm going to settle this. I'm going to go kill Charlie. I think it's despicable, sir.
Yeah, when you vilify people, and this is why I hate people calling people names, when you call us Nazis, of course, who wouldn't be justified in killing a Nazi? When you dehumanize us by saying we're evil and that we want bad things to happen to people. Obviously, Charlie talked about the American dream, about this great nation full of hope and prosperity for all people, no matter what your gender, your color. Matter of fact, he hated the race baiting. He talked against it specifically. He talked about lifting up all people, and yet he was dehumanized to the point where somebody could justify taking his life as if it's a good thing. Shame on our society for devaluing life and actually thinking that that's an acceptable alternative to debate.
Yeah, absolutely. Another big issue. Where do you see the balance in this free speech argument we're having in this country right now? Because I don't think conservatives obviously want to be on the side of cracking down on free speech, because we've seen free speech rights for yourself and the president and other conservatives, whether it was Facebook and others, they didn't want to hear the truth about Joe Biden and COVID and other things like that. But when the Attorney General says, I'm going to crack down if it gets into hate speech, if it's encouraging violence. Where do you see that line so that conservatives don't cross it and become what they're criticizing?
Yeah, this is something where you have to do some soul searching on, because, as you know, I was censored during COVID for my things, which actually my opinions were sustained by science, and yet my license was held in jeopardy. Anytime the government gets to decide who's right and wrong, it gives me a little bit of discomfort. However, I don't think it should be legal to threaten somebody's life. And I don't think it is legal to threaten somebody's life. Once you start saying, I'm going to kill you, I'm going to harm you, you are crossing the line. Now, where that hate speech, that's a very loose definition of anything. When you start talking, what is hate speech? We're going to be very careful. We're going to talk about things that are going to basically threaten my well-being or my existence. That's a little different than just saying, I don't like you, I hate what you're talking about, I want to devalue it to some extent. We have to figure that out as a society. But obviously when it becomes dangerous for people is when we draw the line.
Absolutely. I mean, you made that point earlier that You and others have been dehumanized by Joe Biden and whatnot by saying you're a fascist and everything. So maybe he didn't call for violence, but you dehumanize people. It makes it easier for a crazed 22-year-old to kill Charlie Kirk. It's just despicable. Congressman, we appreciate your insight as always, sir.
Always a pleasure. Semper Fidelis.